Hi everyone, and welcome to our next episode on Oracle 19c Multitenant architecture discussion. So today we're going to discuss about the startup and shutdown process for mostly PDB and and also CDB, because CDB is almost this shutdown and startup is same as non-CDB database as how we used to do in 11G and prior version, so there's no change. So let's start. So let's talk about shutdown of a CDB and PDB. As I mentioned, shutdown of a CDB is same, and also startup is same as what how we do it for a non-CDB. So we have startup, normal, immediate, transactional, and shutdown, um, um, shutdown abort, and startup, no mount. So you're going to use the same methodology for CDB as well. For PDB, let's talk about the shutdown of PDB. So you can use here also you can use shutdown, but you can use shutdown no option, means normal shutdown, shutdown immediate, and shutdown abort. There is no shutdown transactional option in a PDB. So PDB can either be in mounted state, it will be in mounted state, or it will be open state, which is like either read only or read write. It cannot be closed like we do a normal database close. We cannot close it. For example, if you see, so let me log in. See, I'm now login to is connected to CDB1 and it's read write mode. Let's see what are those PDBs I have. So these are the PDBs I have created, and all are in mounted state because I just started the CDB. So when the CDB starts, and by default all your PDB will be mounted state. So we'll discuss about it, how to change it, how we can change these default settings. And so let's say we are going to will use a shutdown on a mounted database. So let me change my current container to PDB1A. This is how you change your current container to 1A. I was in root container, now I'm 1A container. So you can this is how you can check PDB. I'm in PDB1A. So if I use shutdown immediate, so it will say pluggable database PDB1A already closed. So for a pluggable database, mounted means it is closed. This concept is little different than a non-CDB database. Mounted means in non-CDB it has already in no mount stage. It has opened up the parameter file, and then mounted stage it has accessed the control file. So that's not the case with PDB. Now, so you can use the shutdown command only when your current container is a PDB. You cannot use it from CDB. If you use this on a CDB, if your current container is CDB, you use the shutdown command, it will shut down the entire container database itself. So you should always use it on the CDB. Let's say, let me open one PDB, pluggable database, open pluggable database PDB1A. Just reopen. Okay, now my PDB1 is open. Let's check. If I want to shut down immediate, so now it is in read write mode. So now it is mounted state. So you can use the shutdown command when your current container is is pluggable database, you are in a pluggable database, then you use it, so it will shut down your PDB alone. Don't, if you use it when your current container is root, then it will shut down the entire container. There is one way of shutting down PDB is use the alter pluggable database to change the open mode. So that we'll discuss in the later slides in a few minutes. So let's move on to how to start up a PDB. There are actually two ways of starting up. One is using a startup command, other one is using a alter pluggable database. Alter pluggable database is actually used to change many more properties of a database. One of them is you can change the open mode of PDB. So that we'll discuss. So first, coming to startup. So when your current container is a PDB, you use startup command like startup and you use the startup and then option. The option can be force, restrict and open. Open is either read only or read write. Read write is default, so if you don't mention any open PDB option, it will open in read write mode, or you can say open read only. Restrict, it will be open, the database can be opened in read write or read only, but it will be restricted mode. That means only people with restricted session privilege can access it, not everyone can access. This is mostly used for if you want to do some maintenance but you don't want anyone else to access it. Only DB, sysdba, as a sysdba or as a DBA you wants to perform some operation, you can put in restricted mode. Force is, this option is same as in a non-CDB. Force means it will do a shutdown abort and then it will start the database. It's just a restart. If you do startup force, it will restart it. This is, you use the startup command when your current container is a PDB. If you are inside a PDB, you can start up that PDB using startup command. If you want to do it from a current container, then you will say startup pluggable database. Sorry, if you are in a root container, from root container if you want to start at PDB, from the root container you have to say startup pluggable database, then PDB name, and then the option can be force, restrict and open, read only or read write. So let's try this. I'm already in PDB 1A, and which is mounted stage. I'll say startup. So we have not giving any option. Let's see what option it takes. So by default, if you don't give anything, it will use open and read write option. Okay, it started. Let's see what is the status now. As you can see, it is open and it is read write mode, and restricted is no. Let's get into another PDB. Let me change my current container to PDB 1B. So this is also in mounted state. I'll say startup open read only. So I'm executing the startup command when I am inside a PDB, and there are different options. You can do start of restricted, start of open read only restricted. Okay, this open now, show. Now you can see it is read only, but restricted is no. Let's get into one more container, 1C, and 1C is also in mounted state. I will say startup open read only restrict. So I'm kind of mixing up two options. I'm saying open read only, and then also I'm using restrict, because if you see here, there is a open mode and there is a restricted option. So I can have, it can be read only restricted, read only not restricted, read write restricted, read write not restricted. So there are 4 options. So let's see. So PDB is, now it is read only and it is restricted. So only sessions with restricted session privilege can access this PDB. Now let's get into one more. Let's see one more option. Let's go to PDB 1D. Okay, so let's use start of force. So force, as I mentioned, it will shut down. In this case, it is already down in mounted stage, and then it will start up. If it is in open mode, it will shut down and it will start up. Start up in read write mode. That's the important thing to remember. It will start up in read write mode. So let's see. So PDB 1D read write mode. So that's all about startup. So you can use different option of opening it in restrict mode, open read only, or you can also say, let's say I'm in this right. I'll shut down. I'll shut down this PDB, and then let's see. It is a mounted state. I just can say startup restrict. So startup restrict by default, it will open it in read write mode. Open mode will be read write, and restricted will be yes. Yeah. So let's do all this start of PDBs from root container. So let me change my current container to root. See, my current container is root now, and if I choose so PDBs, you can see everything. PDB 1A is read write no restricted, 1B is read only not restricted, 1C is read only restricted, 1D is read write restricted. Remaining are mounted stage. So we are on the root container. So let's start remaining PDBs using our command called startup pluggable. When you are in root container, you have to use startup pluggable database and PDB name and then option. So startup pluggable database PDB 1E, open read only. Okay. Show PDBs. So as you can see, 1E is in read only and no restricted. I can say PDB restrict. I'm going to open 1F in the restricted mode. So the options are same what we saw in the startup command from the PDB. So the options are same. Only thing is, instead of startup, you have to use startup pluggable database and the PDB name. That's the only difference. So options are almost all that same. Yeah. So So we'll start this pdb1g open restrict. So it's same as read write and restricted mode. So let's try one open read only if that option is available. I want to open it read only and restricted mode 1h. Yeah, you can do this way also. Yeah. So this is what it is. So this is one way of starting up PDBs, either using startup command from PDB or a startup pluggable database from the root container. The other method is using alter pluggable database. So alter pluggable database command can be used to manage a lot of properties of a database, like default table space and so some parameter, other database parameter you can use. But we'll in this slide we'll look only for the open mode. So we're going to change the open mode for PDB using alter pluggable database. So again, here if your current container is a PDB, you can use alter pluggable database, an option to close or open. The option can be close, like close immediate. It is same as shutdown immediate, or it can be open, like open read only, open read write, or it be restricted, is force. And when you are in root container, you can use alter pluggable database, then DB list. Either you can give one PDB name or multiple PDB name comma separated, or you can say all. So if you say database all close immediate, it will close everything, all the PDBs. And then again same as option to close or open, and then exclude DB list. You can say all and then you can exclude some of the DB list. So let's try these options. So we'll see how the command works when you are inside a PDB. So this is our state. Let's say so I'm in PDB 1A and read write mode. If I use alter pluggable database, no need to give PDB name because we're already inside a PDB database, open read only. So it's already open, so you can say close immediate. So it's already open because read write mode. So close immediate. So it is mounted. So we'll say alter pluggable database, open read only. So I'm inside a PDB. So you can use alter pluggable database to change from mounted to open, read only, restricted. So now you can see it is read only now. Now we'll close it and try to open it in restricted mode. So here instead of restrict, you have to use restricted. For example, read only, I want to open read only restricted mode. Instead of restrict, we used to use restrict in our previous options. If you look at, yeah, startup, in the startup command we used to use open read only restrict. Here slightly change, it was alter pluggable database, open read only restricted. So So this is read only in restricted mode. Now we'll use this option alter pluggable database when we are in root container. So if you go, let me go to root container. Okay, let's say I want to close. Let's close few containers. So we'll say alter pluggable database. Now I'm in root container, so I have to mention the PDB name, PDB1A, close. So my PDB1A is now in mounted state. Now so we also can use database all, close immediate, and you can exclude few PDBs. Here we are closing all the PDBs, database all, except PDB1H and 1I. These two. Let's see. See, everything is mounted state except PDB1H, and 1I was already mounted state. So if you want to shut down everything, you can say on all. If there are few plug PDBs already in mounted state, it will not give any error. It will simply close whatever is pending. So similarly, you can say alter pluggable database all open read only. Let's say you'll say it will. So here also you can use either option all or all except. So you want to exclude few of the PDBs from the operation, or you can give specific one or more PDBs in the PDB name clause here. Okay, so all the PDBs are open read only. Let's say I want to close all the PDBs again. Then we'll use alter pluggable database command to open few. See, everything is mounted state now. Now alter pluggable database PDB1A open restricted. Here also you have to use restricted instead of restrict. In alter pluggable database you have to use restricted option. So PDBs, or you can say alter pluggable database PDB1B, PDB1C, PDB1D. Force also you can use. It will shut down and start up. Open force. Okay. Or you can say alter pluggable database all except PDB1H, PDB1I, open read only. So we'll say PDB1A pdb1b, pdb1c, pdb1d, pdb1e. Let's use this option. So I'm trying to open all the PDBs except the one which is already open, because otherwise it will throw this error saying pluggable database PDB is already open. A, B, C, D. Okay, so it is all done. So it is actually, what it's doing is it is starting up the database which is not open state. If it is mounted, it will start. But if it is already in open state, but the read only or read write, it is throwing an error. So it will work though it is throwing an error. It is throwing an error for PDB1A here, PDB1G here, but remaining it has open. If it is mounted, so it will open it. So anyway, so now let me database PDB1H, PDB1B, let me close this too. Okay, so this is my PDB1B is in mounted state and PDB1H is mounted, remaining few are in read only restricted mode, few are in read write not restricted mode, and PDB1 is read write restricted mode. Now next thing is next thing we'll talk about saving a state. I think I've already mentioned that when you start your container database, by default all the PDBs are opened in mounted state. So either you have to manually open them, or you can have a script also with a trigger at the container level. The moment it started, it will start all the PDBs. Or with 19c version, you have an option called save state. You can say alter pluggable database, DB list, or all save state or discard state. You can save the state for all the PDBs or few PDBs, up to your wish. Or if you have already saved some state, you can also say discard state. Discard state means it will go to its default option, that when this container is started, all the pluggable database will be in, or all those discarded state PDBs will be started in mounted state. So let's try this option, alter. So I'll use alter pluggable database all. I'll put all. Before that, one thing I just want to mention: when you start a root container, start the container database, seed will always be in read only mode, read only not restricted mode. Everything else will be mounted. That's the default option. Save state. Yep. So there is one view called DBA PDB saved states. You can let's see which is in saved states. Call name, state, restricted from DBA PDB saved states. So as you can see, so for all these PDBs it is in saved state. So this is open, and this is open, read only, read only, read only, restricted. PDB1A See, if you see here, we did a all saved state, but here if you see one B is missing, C, D, E, F, G, H is missing. That's because although we used alter pluggable database all save state, 1B and 1H are in mounted state, so there is no reason to save their state because that is a default option. So that's why they are with a default option. That's why you didn't see their name here in this view. This view will list out if you have saved the state for in any state other than mounted. If it's mounted, it will not state here. So let's restart container and see if those these PDBs are coming up with this option or not. It should not be mounted. So for that I am in root container, so I'll just say start a force. So instead of doing shutdown and startup, I'll start a force, so it will shut down and start up automatically. So let's wait. Okay, so my container database is open now. Let's look at PDB status. So as you can see, only PDB 1B and 1H is in mounted, remaining else is in the same state. We can do a discard state also. Let's do a discard state. Alter pluggable database all. So you can use this save state to put all the PDBs in read write mode and use a save state. So every time the container database starts, it will start the PDBs in the read write mode. So you don't have to manually open each one of them. So discard state. So if you look at our, so now nothing. In DBA PDB saved states view, there is nothing. So there is no state is saved now. So if you restart, it will show everything in mounted mode. So let's check that also. Let's restart a force and let's wait. Okay, the database is open now. Let's check what is the PDB status now. See, everything is mounted state. So we have discarded the state for everything else except seed, which will always come in read only mode. So that's all for today. We discussed today about shutdown and startup of PDBs. Next videos we'll talk about more on connecting with PDBs, user management, user privilege permissions, and other administration work, and then we will look at a few backup recovery option in a PDB, and much more. So thanks for joining. So see you next time and next video. Thanks. Bye bye.